Hi guys, my today topic is TCP three-way handshake. Please like and subscribe my channel. Also comment if you want some modification the contents of this lecture. In the next slide, there is the definition of TCP three-way handshake process. What is three-way handshake? Three-way handshake or TCP transmission control protocol is used to establish reliable and secure connection between two devices. Uh, and this process called TCP three-way handshake process. TCP uses the full duplex connection, synchronize, send, and acknowledge each other on both sides. There are three steps for both establishing and closing a connection. Three-way handshake or TCP three-way handshake is a process which is used in a TCP IP network to make a connection between the client and server. It is a three-step process that requires both the client and server to exchange synchronization and acknowledgement packets before the real data communication process starts. Three-way handshake process is designed in such a way that both ends help you to initiate, negotiate, and separate TCP connections at the same time. TCP message types: SYN, ACK, and SYNACK. SYN it is a first message which is used to initiate the connection in TCP three-way handshake process. It also helps you to synchronize sequence number between devices. ACK or acknowledge. It helps to confirm the other side that it has received the SYN. When the first package is received on the receiver side, then the receiver revert it back to the sender as a acknowledge or ACK message. SYN SYN message from local device and ACK of the earlier packet received, and in the step 1 the client establishes a connection with the server. It sends a segment with SYN and informs the server about the client should start communication and is request to open the connection with the server and with what should be its sequence number. In step 2, in this step, server responds to the client request with SYNAC signal set. ACK help you to signify the response of segment that is received, and SYN signifies what sequence number it should able to start with the segments. In step 3 or the final step, the client acknowledges the response of the server and both they create a stable connection with begin the actual data transfer process. Once the connection establishes uh, by follow up with these three steps, then only data can be transferred over the TCP IP network where reliable connection is required. Here is the pictorial information representing the steps for the TCP three-way handshake process between client and server. Client first, client send the SYN message to the server, then the server revert back with the SYN plus ACK. Once the client receives SYN ACK message from the server, then it revert back to the server as a ACK. After these three steps, the connection get established and the data can be transferred over the TCP IP network. in this slide, there is there is the technical details. What is the happening in the three messages in the TCP three-way handshake between client and server? The first message is SYN, which contains the sequence number, acknowledge, and SYN. The sequence number here 9001. It is not always the same for the all communication. Here I have only representing you as a example for your understanding. So I have taken 9001 sequence number which is used by client, and acknowledge is 0 because in this message there is no acknowledge either by the client either from the server. The SYN set to 1. The SYN flag set to 1 because in this message the SYN is there. The first message is SYN and client is trying to establish the connection. Once the server received the SYN message from the client, then it revert back with the SYNAC message. And SYNAC message contains three information: the SYN, ACK, and sequence number. Here the SYN set to 1 because the server trying to establish the connection with the client, trying to synchronize with the client. So SYN set to 1 and acknowledge is 90002 because client sent the sequence number 9001, and in the TCP three-way handshake, the sequence number received from the client to the server, it's revert back with the as a acknowledgement number, but it increased by 1. So 9001, it which is sequence number, here is the acknowledge from the client, but it increased by 1 and it's here 902. And the sequence number is 5001. Here the sequence number server decided their own sequence number which is 5001. Once the client received SYNAC from the server, then it revert back with the acknowledge to the server. Here the SYN set to 1 because the client is trying to establish the connection or synchronizing to the server. The acknowledge number is 5002 because the sequence number in the step 2, which is SYNAC, sequence number which is 5001 from the server received at the client, and now it's revert back with to the server, and it uses as the acknowledge, acknowledge number or ack number, and but it increased by 1. So now in the third step ACK message, it uses 5002 and the sequence number is 9002 here because in the first message which is SYN, the sequence number is 9001, and now the it increased by 1 because in third its second message which is sending to the server by client, so it's increased by 1. Now it's make it 9002. So this is the whole process between client and server while establishing the three-way handshake process. After once the connection established, then the actual data can be transferred over the TCP IP network in a reliable way. Thank you.